tonight. I am a chiropractor from Limerick. I grew up locally in King of Prussia. I went to school, I did my undergrad degree at Albright. I was a biochemistry major, and then I went to school in Iowa for a chiropractic school. And I've been in Limerick for 25 years. You know, it's interesting, now that I've been in practice 25 years and looking back, you know, not a lot has changed in terms of how we practice. What has changed is the engagement of patients versus patients 25 years ago. How long, you guys are, how long have you been patients in the office?
He's longer than I am.
About 95 or so.
Wow.
Okay. I think Dr. Bill said I started before he did.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, it's true. I do have patients that before we got married. So one of the biggest changes that I have seen in the last 25 years is that the face of healthcare really has changed. Hi guys, come on in. Oh, no worries at all. There we go. The face of healthcare has really changed in that patients are a lot more engaged now than they were 25 years ago. I mean, people would come in and it would be just like, okay, what do I gotta do? You know, versus today with the internet and the vast amount of resources that are available, people ask questions. They wanna know, they wanna research, they wanna understand, you know, what should I do? What is my, you know, what is my health condition? How can I be healthier? What are the steps I can do to do that? And it's really wonderful because it creates a partnership between you and your doctor. And not just, you know, me as your chiropractor, but, you know, being that I've had patients for so many years, I get to see people through many different stages of life. It's exciting, you know, maybe start treating someone as a child and I see them, you know, through adulthood and to see how that changes, or someone who's a young adult and into middle age, and it's exciting to see the different stages. But as an individual, I think that people are becoming more engaged in their health. And I always say the quality of a relationship is based upon the questions that you ask. And I think the quality of the health care that you're going to receive as a patient is based upon the questions that you ask. The questions that you ask, you know, your family doctor, you know, if you have specialists, you know, cardiologist, your chiropractor, anyone. So, and I always laugh because I would say, you know, people will research the new car they're gonna buy more than the medication they're gonna take. Or they'll research the vacation that they're gonna take more than the procedure that they're gonna have. So if I can leave you with anything tonight besides lots of information about poop, I wanna leave you with the idea that your health really is your health. It's not your husband's or your wife's or your mother or your father's or your, you know, daughter, son, whoever. It's your health, and you need to be the squeaky wheel. You need to demand that you get good care, and you should take the time to really ask the right questions. So I hope tonight, by some of the things I'm going to talk about, it'll help you feel that you want to be more engaged with your either your family doctor or whoever provides your care. Okay? So that being said, a little bit of promotional material on the front. We have a calendar, and this is also, just want to talk a little bit about this. We're doing every 4th of July through the month of July, we collect stuff for veterans. And it's really cool. We decorate the office and we invite patients who have either family member or if they've served in the military to bring in different memorabilia. It's really nice. And we have almost like a museum throughout the office. So then we collect supplies and things that they have told us, the organization has told us that they need. So you can take a look at that. If you want to stop by, you can call the office and let them know. Okay, so let's get started. The scoop on poop. So basically, does anybody, when you think of your digestive system and the role that it plays within your health, the reason that your digestive system is critical is because it's how your body becomes nourished. It's how we get nourishment into our body. So if you think about it, we're putting in stuff, and then what's not needed and the waste products of that is what comes out. So by looking at your poop, not looking at your poop or having quality poop basically ensures that you are putting good things in and that your body is functioning properly. So if you look at the anatomy of the GI system, it's approximately 30 feet long and the surface is equivalent to the size of a tennis court. So that's amazing to think about. It really is. And you want to know something interesting? This is like a little fun tip that I didn't know until I had wrote this class. Did you ever notice that women tend to have more GI issues in general? You know, guys, they're solid. It's bathroom time and they're good. Women tend to have a lot more issues. Actually, a woman's digestive tract is longer. I think it's like 25 or 50 centimeters long or something like that. And it's more curved. And so, and also because we have reproductive organs, we have, you know, our uterus and some extra stuff in there, it makes it more difficult for poop to come out. Whereas a man's GI tract is a lot more straighter and it actually functions. And when you think of your colon and your rectum, actually has muscle. So the quality of being able to move your stool along is based upon how well those muscles are working, and we can talk about some of those things that affect that. But in general, women, I always thought it was like, oh, gender thing, I don't know, or you know, something to do with hormones. But the big thing is just the way that we're built, women tend to have more issues. The other thing that was really cool is I learned about did you ever see they have those potty squatties? Did you ever see they sell those? I thought, what a, you know what I'm talking about? That Bath and Beyond has them. They're like these little, they're actually designed to put your intestines and your colon in the proper position to poop. Yeah, it's pretty cool. Anyway, let's see. The other thing which is interesting that a lot of people don't know is that 50 to 70% of the immune system is in your GI tract. So a lot of health issues, if you're having different types of food allergies or immune issues, autoimmune issues, lots of times it might be detected first in your bowel habits. So functions of the GI, you can see on the first page it says to absorb nutrients, to keep non-nutrients out, and to protect against toxins, bacteria, and chemicals. So I have a question for the audience. Does anyone know what would be considered normal number of bowel movements a day or a week, or anybody know without cheating and looking?
One a day.
One a day, that's a good general rule, one bowel movement a day. It can be normal, you know, for some people maybe every other day, but anything less than that is definitely a problem. But the key is not so much, you know, it has to be every day or has to be every other day. It has to be consistent for you. Like one of the first signs of maybe you're having an issue is your bowel changes very drastically. So if you're an everydayer, first thing in the morning, and suddenly you start to skip a day or you go 2 or 3 days, that's indicative of there might be an issue going on. So when we think of the perfect poop, sounds so weird to say, but when you think of the perfect poop, you want to have some type of regular consistency with a schedule. It should be very systematic. Like if you poop in the morning, you should typically poop every morning, you know, and if you're not for a couple days in a row, there's something going on. Doesn't mean you have some major big medical issue, but maybe you're dehydrated. Or maybe you're developing a sensitivity to a certain type of food. Or maybe you're on an antibiotic and it's goofed up your gut. There's something different. So we really are creatures of habit, and the biggest thing is that consistency. So consistent, okay, you know, either every other day or every day. The next thing is color. So just like, I mean, let me ask you about urine. Everybody knows what the nice color of urine should be. What, anybody want to share what you're not allowed to answer that.
Lemon color.
Yeah, it should be straw. It should be like a nice straw color, a light straw color. you have a question?
No, I'm just looking.
Okay. Okay. You look very interested. Okay. Should be like a light straw color urine. And your urine changes, you know, if you're dehydrated or if you're taking certain vitamins, or it can become concentrated, or if you have a urine infection, you know, like a bladder infection, it can change color or you know, change that way. With poop, it should be a nice color brown, just like a normal medium brown color. Your stool should also be, like an example, if I was to put my fingers like this, it should be like that size. And it should be shaped like I'm trying to think, like almost like a hot dog or like a little thicker. So think of like a big, this size, but like a bratwurst, a little thicker. And it should be smooth. And you should not have any discomfort when you have a bowel movement. Okay, so it should be brown, it should be every other day or every day, it should be relatively around the same time, it should be brown in color, and it should be smooth, and you shouldn't have any pain. You know, when you have a bowel movement, it should not be painful. If you're having painful bowel movements, that's also an issue. That's something that we can talk about. So, any questions about normal? Okay. So, if you look over here, is a poo by any other color still a poo? So, there are different colors there that can give you ideas of what other things can create a change in your bowel. One of the most common ones that we see is that if your poop becomes very dark color, and it becomes very hard, or it doesn't come out in a smooth size and shape. And usually this is the most common thing that I'll see with patients is they're dehydrated, first of all. And they also, if your bowel movement should drop to the bottom of the toilet. If you see it floating, that's definitely something dietary. You either have too much gas or you have too much fat in your diet. So, once again, brown, shaped kind of like a sausage, about that thick in diameter, smooth, and should drop to the bottom of the bowl. So if you see those floaters or you see like small pieces, it means that you're probably dehydrated. And usually, it's funny, but being adequately hydrated is probably one of the biggest things that you can kind of indicate from your bowel, or lack of bowel movements or change in bowel habits. If your bowels suddenly get a little funky, probably dehydrated. Because believe it or not, fecal matter is 75% water. So when you become dehydrated, and the thing is, you don't really know you're hydrated. I mean, by the time you're thirsty, you're already ready pretty dehydrated. So your bowel movement and also the color of your urine can give you a good idea if you're getting adequate fluid intake.
If your urine is yellow, like bright yellow, does that mean you're dehydrated?
Well, bright yellow is usually that sometimes can be like a B complex, or you might be something you're taking or eating, but more concentrated. It's more like not a bright yellow, it's more like a darker yellow.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that means you're dehydrated, yeah.
Okay.
Absolutely. So, one of the things, if you're having trouble moving your bowels, you're probably dehydrated. That's usually the most simple, common sense thing. Or you've been too sedentary. Because remember we talked about how big the bowel is and how it winds around. If you've been sitting a lot and you're not moving, your bowel is a muscle. So as you move, it's going to be moving the food through your bowel. Another really big point on that is getting enough fiber. Because fiber actually, and let's talk about fiber for a minute. Let's talk about fiber foods. Does everybody understand what fiber is and what fiber does and what a fiber food is? Anybody name a fiber food?
Fruit, apples.
Perfect.
Veggies.
Veggies, yep,
Right.
they're all, black beans, certain cereals. So what fiber does, fiber isn't really completely digested. And it just acts as like a transport. It's like building up the bulk and moves it through. So the fiber If you're not getting enough fiber, meaning like say you're eating a lot of sugar and you're eating a lot of simple carbs, you know, a lot of crackers and chips and sugar and 4th of July, so all that crap, which everybody loves, that can get you constipated. So you want to look at, am I moving, am I drinking, and am I eating fiber? And most bowel issues, like 90% of bowel issues, can be addressed with those 3 things. Yeah.
I understand you have to be careful what type of fiber you have, because
Gas.
some people cannot accept certain grains. Some of the breads that I eat, they'll say whole wheat, and it just does not agree with me. So you have to be careful what fiber is best for you.
And that's a good point, yes. If you up your fiber and you start to get diarrhea, bingo, that is not good for you. So once again, you know, you don't want to go from not moving your bowels to now I have diarrhea, okay? Because diarrhea means that you're not breaking things down completely, and your bowel is, real interesting fact about diarrhea, and people will be like, oh, you chiropractors hate every medicine. I'm like, that's not true, I don't. But you gotta kind of think about what the body's telling you. When you get diarrhea, you don't want to just reach for the Imodium or the Pepto-Bismol. Although, you know, if you're, you know, it's more than a few hours or you've had more than 3 or 4 bouts of diarrhea, you don't want to get dehydrated, and so yeah, you can use it. But diarrhea is designed to clean your system out. There's something that your body is saying, it didn't agree with me, or I need to clean my digestive tract out. So you want to hold off right away reaching for the Pepto-Bismol. But yes, that's a good point.
Sometimes I get the bread, it's really good bread, it'll have 15 grains in it. No, for me, it's just too much combination.
Yeah, yeah. So, you know, if you're gonna think about bulk, I like beans. Beans are like black beans, they're great. They're a great,
Sometimes I have to take an amino acid or something before I eat it, or else it just wreaks havoc.
Yeah. So that's the whole thing. You gotta know your own system. You gotta know what works for you. You know, what is your body gonna respond to? What's interesting, we talked about poop being 75% water. Also, another big portion of that poop is waste material, like cells from it kind of clean. When you think of poop, think of it as it's kind of going through your system and it's sweeping out your intestines. So it might have some dead tissue, some dead cells in it. So anyway, okay, let's
I
see.
have a question.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see you, yeah.
I've got 2 questions actually. I take that sleeping med that really dries me out.
You sleep?
Yes.
Okay.
I sleep really well, but it gives me a dry mouth and it constipates me. So I take Metamucil.
Before you go to bed?
Yes.
So then in the morning when you wake up, you have a bowel movement?
Almost always, not every day. But my question is, can you take too much Metamucil? Because I have to take a hell of a lot of it.
Yeah, so that's another good question about stool softeners and Metamucil and different types of over-the-counter things. They're not bad. This is what I say, and patients too. Is Advil the great evil? No. Okay, you need to take an Advil? It's okay to take an Advil. But are you taking it every day? Are you taking Metamucil every day? Has your colon become dependent on it to move? And if it is, that's the bad part. It's okay to do it in, you know, once in a while because you're constipated. But if you're finding that your bowels have now become reliant on taking that to move
Well, I'm taking a med every night. I have to.
Well,
take
now
it.
you brought in, this is the whole next section I'm gonna go through, things that will create constipation. So, we'll get to that.
Oh, I have another question.
Yeah, go ahead.
I've heard different things. Does coffee dehydrate you or not?
Coffee dehydrates you, and I love
Okay.
coffee, so I really hate to
Does
admit it.
decaf coffee dehydrate you?
Decaf coffee is really almost it doesn't dehydrate you in the same way, but unless you get organic decaffeinated coffee, the way that it's processed has a lot of not great things in it. So, I mean,
Okay.
and once again, I'm such a moderate person. I don't think there's anything that's absolutely horrible in moderation. You know what I mean? So you want your cup of coffee, have your cup
I
of
have
coffee.
it 5 times a day.
Well, that's too, that's too much. That's too much, and that could be part of why you're having some issues where you feel like you need to have a, you know, a supplement or something to help you move your bowels every day.
So, but Metamucil is good for you in so many other ways. Is it really bad to take it every day?
Only because your body then becomes reliant on it. I'd rather see you, like, I mean, we can talk after, but I'd rather take a look at, are you hydrated? Are you moving? And then let's try to get some fiber into your body naturally so that because part of the Metamucil is it's not just fiber, it's also, it has like, I can't think of the name of it, but actually stimulates, like, it has the muscles of the bowel move stuff along. So we don't want to be doing that every day. And once again, it's not terrible, but, you know, if you were saying to me, hey, once a week I take it, I'd be like, all right, that's okay. But, you know, every night to move your bowels is not a good thing. So we need to take a step back and kind of check the box on everything else that you're doing.
Okay.
Does that make sense?
Yes.
Any other questions before I move on? Okay, you brought up a great point about the having some issues with certain fiber. Once again, because we know that your GI system is very much involved with your immune system, which is amazing to think about. When you start with a lot of diarrhea, there's only several reasons that you have diarrhea. It's either hormonal. Okay, if you're that time of the month, you're going to find that your bowels get a little funky. You're on some type of medication, okay, like antibiotics will create an issue with it. Or the third one is you're having some type of food allergy or food sensitivity, or some type of, your body is responding funky to something that you're putting into it, okay? And we do a whole class, maybe next time we'll do it if you think it's a good one, is our anti-inflammatory class and how to de-inflame your body with proper foods. Do you have a question?
Yeah, I have Crohn's disease. So should I be extra careful? Is there a special diet
Yes.
for me?
Yes, in
Because
fact, I didn't even address that with people that have IBS and Crohn's. Completely separate.
Yeah, I've got to be
Yeah,
careful with
we
my
can talk about what would be appropriate, but that's a whole separate issue. Because Crohn's is actually, it's an autoimmune, it's actually an immune disorder too. Okay, so problems in the, let's see, blah, 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 leaky gut infections, okay. Growing industry, you guys can read that. So let's talk about gut. This is a little bit about the flora in your gut. If you're finding that you have a lot of diarrhea, or you know, you're not moving your bowels regularly, besides the moving, being adequately hydrated, and also having the fiber. Another thing that happens, and it's very common because of our diets, is our natural bacteria in our gut gets out of whack. Okay, so you see a lot of commercials about Activa or whatever it is, the yogurt or whatever. There's good and bad bacteria in your gut. And when the bad bacteria kind of overgrows the good bacteria, you end up in a situation where you're going to have some bowel issues. So one of the things that I recommend, and it's something you can just do every day. I mean, if you don't have any bowel issues, don't worry about it. I mean, you don't have to, you know. But if everybody that's here, I'm assuming, has questions or maybe has some issues with their bowels, everybody should be on a good probiotic, okay? Anybody on a probiotic right now?
How do you know what's a good probiotic?
Okay, a good probiotic is, first of all, you want to look for, and I think I wrote it down, so let's see here. See if it's in my packet. Under supplementation, it says, yep, it doesn't give the names. Let me see if I put it in the back. Here, there's my section on probiotics. So, talks about how to take them. Let's turn this page.
Did you say everybody should take a probiotic?
I mean, it's not gonna hurt you.
Okay.
It's not gonna hurt you. You don't, it's one of those things you don't have to, but I mean, yeah, I would say it's not a bad thing. I had my kids on probiotics, we all take probiotics. I think it's, what do you think? Guys,
Yeah,
what's your thoughts on probiotics?
I mean, it can't really hurt, but most people don't eat healthy enough to say that I don't eat them. Obviously, it'd be better to eat if you had a great diet and ate a bunch of fermented foods and very plant-based, you may not need them, but that's like 1%.
You eat a lot of sugar, I mean, there's so many reasons.
Who doesn't like donuts and coffee?
Yeah,
What does kombucha do? Is that,
kombucha, okay? Oh, kombucha?
is that how you say it?
I don't know.
That
Do you know
is-
kombucha?
It's a fermented tea, and it's kind of like drinking a probiotic. Big thing with probiotics, only 5% of them make it to your small intestines, so that's why you take billions and billions of organisms. So it's just like a different way of taking a probiotic.
The biggest thing is making sure that you have live cell probiotics. So most of the time, and I'm not going to endorse any brand, but if you, once you open them, and do you guys find, you put them in the refrigerator to keep, yeah.
Okay.
And if you, I mean, do you guys have a particular brand that you like? I mean, we use, trying to think, we use the, can't think of the name, we have it, we sell it in the office, but, Core Labs, or do you have one in particular?
Honestly,
Anabolic Labs, that's the one,
Anabolics,
that's the one that we.
They're really good.
Anabolic Labs. But, I mean, I think for the most part, just turn to the back and just see what are the, make sure that it's live cell. I mean, if you buy it from like Whole Foods or, you know, somewhere that's fairly reputable, you're fine. But you do want to put it in the refrigerator. Anybody have one that they particularly like and they use?
I eat 7 Stars Farm yogurt, that's by Kimberton Waldorf School. The cattle do not graze on any kind of adulterated grass or soil, and I just feel so good when I have it. It's next to Kimberton Waldorf School.
So they make their own,
Yes, I'll buy a box, there'll be 6 in them, it'll be $16 for all 6, and it's really a savings. And I wanted to tell you, when I eat, you're gonna laugh, when I eat pickles, it seems my digestion moves faster, and if I have organic applesauce with no sugar in the morning, it seems to help settle my tummy, and I'm able to really.
applesauce is one of the, with babies, I tell lots of times with people in the office when the babies are constipated, that seems to
But
help.
it seems to help me.
Seems to help. The last page there too, talking about food allergies and food intolerances. Has anybody ever had ever done a withdrawal diet, or have you? Did you do the standard elimination one, or was it, how did you do it?
I just did dairy,
You just took dairy out.
yep, and I stopped getting sick.
Did you notice when you took dairy out an improvement with your bowel? Any big changes with your bowel?
Massive change.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is, I'm now starting to reintroduce some dairy products into my body, and they're not bothering me, but I'm being very particular about
The quality.
the quality of the
The
dairy.
quality.
Grass.
Yeah.
Yeah,
You know what's interesting too is sometimes when you do the elimination diet, and you clean your system out and you're off it. How long were you off dairy before you introduced it back?
I've been off of dairy for 5 years.
And now you just started to introduce back. Yeah, sometimes it resets the gut.
It's not just organic dairy that I'm eating though. It's just very interesting because I can buy one type of cheese at one store that's grass-fed and the same kind of cheese at another store that's grass-fed. This one won't make me sick and this one will.
Isn't that interesting?
So I'm positive that what you're talking about is very true, but I also think the other part of this is additives
Yeah,
in our food.
yeah, that's true. That's true, yeah.
Yeah, having a problem with Crohn's, my doctor always said, no dairy, stay away from it. However, I did tell him that I was taking lactate instead of organic milk. He said, that's fine, if it's helping tremendously.
Well, the lactate doesn't have it doesn't have the sugar in it the same way that it breaks down, so you do fine with that.
Should I continue with it?
Yeah, I mean, once again, with Crohn's, it really is you have to base it on how you're doing. How's your stools? Are you having flare-ups? Yeah, you know, something with, have you been on antibiotics repeatedly or not?
Once in a while.
Once
yes,
in a while.
not repeatedly. I'm on what they call Remicade, which is also good for arthritis, which I also have.
Which
But
helps keep things at bay.
Probably the Crohn's more than the arthritis.
Are you on a probiotic? That would be
Yeah.
something, you are.
Nature's, I guess Nature's Made or something like that's the one I use. I buy it at BJ's, it's very good, something.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's probably the most important thing is to be on it, with Crohn's is to be on an antibiotic, or a probiotic.
If you have time, can you discuss, doctor, the spices, the oriental spices? I started taking green tea extract and turmeric, and there's some other natural, herbs. And all of a sudden, I just felt so calm and settled.
Well, part of, you mentioned the turmeric. One of the things about bowel, and now this isn't the constipation, this would be more for diarrhea and people that have irritable bowel and stuff like that. It's an inflammation reaction. So we're looking to diffuse or to calm down the inflammation in our body, and there's great herbs out there and different things. Turmeric, boswellia, cayenne, do you have some other?
Ginger.
Yeah, ginger. They're all things that decrease inflammation in your body, and as a byproduct, your gut becomes de-inflamed. So yeah, they're wonderful. There's quite a few of those that are great. Thank you for mentioning that. The last page talks about elimination, or one of the last pages talks about elimination diet. That there's two different ways you can do it. You can start with take everything out and start with a very, very basic kind of diet and then slowly add things in. Or like she did, where you just take you take one thing out, and then after a time period, then add it back in. So that talks about how you can try an elimination diet. Once I put a stuff in about gluten, only because we know that gluten tends to be, next to dairy, one of the other most common things that create bowel irregularities and bowel issues. Yeah.
That's really fast. I'm
Yeah. No.
originally from Pittsburgh. About 25 years ago, I went to a seminar, and it was a daughter and father who started a healing clinic in Mexico, and they said that there's not all these diseases. There's only one disease that ever exists, and that's being toxic. So it's gross to say, but there's ways that we could be doing, doctor, so many precious anointed things, but if we don't cleanse our lower digestive, in other words, they say 95% of Americans are constipated. If you don't have a good enema, it's gross, to really cleanse your gut out, we could be doing precious things, but until all that waste is released, we're
Yeah, for people that have chronic bowel issues, I wasn't gonna get into that, but yeah, I mean, enemas are definitely, once again, not something that you should be doing regularly, but if you are suffering from a chronic, that's definitely.
They say 95% of the Americans are constipated.
I believe that there's fecal matter that hasn't moved through. I don't know 95%, but I would say that's
But
true.
there's a high percentage of us that are dehydrated too.
I agree.
And we think we're hungry when we're really thirsty.
When we're
Yes,
really
yes.
thirsty. And by the time that you actually feel thirsty, you're already dehydrated. And the reason is because a large percentage of our body is water. And when you become dehydrated, your body is going to take water from non-essential areas so that it can, take care of your brain and your heart and keep your blood chemistry stable. So it's going to take it from your gut. It's going to take it from your muscles. I mean, I have patients that come in and they're like, I'm super sore. I'm like, check your water intake, because you're probably sore because you're a little dehydrated. So I have a really good friend who's a family doc that was my roommate in undergrad, and she practices out in the West. And she said one of the basic things, she's like, 50% of my patients would get rid of half of their medication if they just drank water. They just drank more water. So,
I take Miralax, and that adds water, doesn't it?
what's that,
Miralax.
Miralax?
Mhm.
It adds water. Miralax adds water? I thought that's more of to get the bowel moving, Miralax.
Yeah, but my GI doctor told me.
He told that it adds water. I did not, and I didn't know that, no. But real quick, let's talk about water. Who knows, and those of you that are patients in my office probably know, but what's the proper amount of water that you should drink? Anybody know?
84 ounces.
Huh?
84 ounces.
How do you think they came up with that 84 ounces? Like, do you think 84 ounces would be the right amount for you, or maybe somebody?
I don't do it, but.
Okay, so there's actually a formula. Anybody know? You guys know? No? Oh, I feel bad. You guys know?
Does it have to do with your weight?
It's your body weight, yeah, divided by 2. So if you weigh, say you weigh 120 pounds, it would be 60 ounces of water. So it's your body weight divided by 2. And the good thing about your knowing the proper amount is that you judge that on your urine. And so you're gonna drink, let's say you weigh 180 pounds, that would be 90 ounces, right? And you slowly start to build up to that amount. And in the beginning, this is really cool. The first couple of days that you start drinking the appropriate amount of water for your body weight, you're gonna find that you feel like you have to urinate all the time. And then what happens after about day 4 or 5, you don't have to urinate anymore because now your body is almost like saturated and it's functioning appropriately based on that amount of water. So
Can you substitute other liquids
no,
for water?
no, no, I'm not even gonna entertain that. I used to dance around that, like, whoa, you're good. No, it's water. Because you start to drink the like, I hate those flavored waters, they make me really mad. You can drink seltzer water with like the flavor in it. Because
You can have that?
you can, but that's not the sweet, it can't have anything but the water and then just like the natural, or if you wanna get a lemon, squeeze a lemon in it, or if you wanna put fruit in it, that's fine. But the minute you start to put the sweetened flavored waters, or even if they're non-sweetened, but they're like, they have like the stevia or the saccharin or whatever you wanna, I don't even care if it's,
Like ice?
well, ice is okay.
Oh,
But
is it because I like.
yeah, ice is fine, but then your body has to process the junk that's in that, so water, just water,
Or
water,
flavored
water.
seltzer, but not sweet.
You can do flavored seltzer, but not sweetened,
Okay.
and you can do flavored water, but not the sweetened, don't take a picture of me, stop
Oh,
it.
too late.
How about vitamin water zero?
What's that?
Vitamin water zero.
Oh, that's sweetened though, it has, doesn't it, is it sweetened, or it like?
Picture.
I mean, it's 0 calories, I don't know.
Yeah, but just because it says 0 check the label, if it starts having lots of things in it, like
Sucrose?
saccharin or sucrose or, you don't know, no. I mean, is it better than drinking a Coke? Yeah, but is it as good as drinking water? No. And they say for every cup of coffee that you drink, you need to drink another 8 ounces of water to I know, isn't that crazy? So, yeah, one of the biggest things you could do, honestly, my Cheryl at my front desk got this for me. The more, honestly, water, you know what I mean? Put lemon, put some fruit in it. It's really the best way to go is drinking water. Okay, I am getting close to the end of my time. So there's the comprehensive diet, different guidelines. Okay, so this packet pretty much has everything we kind of went over more in depth so that you can look it through. Does anybody have any questions?
What's your thoughts on those cleanses and detox and stuff for your,
Yep,
I mean, are
that's
they,
a great question.
are they different than an enema or is an enema better?
Very different, very different. That's a great question. In fact, I had just, I like to do a detox once a year, and I do a detox. I use a company called Standard Process. It's great company. It's all whole foods. So their supplements are all, you can write the name down. It's called Standard Process. You can Google it and read about them. They're a great company. They make all of their supplements through Whole Foods. So it's all food-based, plant-based supplements. It's not anything that's engineered in a lab. It's all very, so when you detox, you're dealing with your liver, not so much your kidney. With, once again, you know something interesting, I'm gonna take a step back real quick, about being properly hydrated. You can also help with, if you have blood pressure issues. It's really interesting, but you know, I have patients that will say, well, I have high blood pressure and I'm on a water pill, so I don't want to drink a lot of water. It's the opposite. The more water, yeah, and you're shaking your head, shaking. The more water that you drink, the more your body is going to reduce that the water retention and the swelling. So I just wanted to mention that real quick. But back to detoxing. So when you detox, Your liver is primarily responsible for taking impurities out of your blood and your body and keeping your body, like, you know, any kind of medication that you take or any food that you eat that has a lot of additives and crap, that's all gonna get filtered out and detoxed through your liver. So they recommend sometimes that people do detoxes just to make sure that their liver is functioning properly if they're having other issues. Some people do it for weight loss, some people do it for just general health. And yes, I like detoxes. I don't think you don't need to do them every week or even several times a year. I think maybe yearly is good. And that once again is through the liver, getting that liver to function properly.
Okay.
So,
Is that the same as a cleanse?
cleanse, detox, cleanse, yes. Usually people will say like a purification or a detox or something like that, but basically it's taking all the toxins out of your food and taking different things to help get that liver to function better, and then adding stuff back in.
Okay, so there's ones that say that it can get into the folds of your intestines and clean that out.
Now, I'm talking about more of like a liver detox. You're talking
Okay.
more about a GI detox. I'm not really sure. I'm not really sure. Do you guys have any thoughts on that?
Honestly, most detoxes work because they keep you to a strict diet. You know what I mean? They eliminate the bad things and they make you do some sort of shakes. That's why they work. They don't necessarily work because of what's in them, because of what you're not eating. You know what I mean?
Because I know, I tried one to see what it was.
This was more of a GI
Yes,
cleanse.
and then I had a colonoscopy like a year or something later, and the surgeon that was doing the colonoscopy asked if I forget the term she used, but she could see spots on my intestines, which she said were from this thing.
Really?
I was shocked.
I would love to know, like in a good way or a bad way?
She was kind of neutral about it, you know, she just said, are you doing such and such, whatever term she used, and I was like, well, I try to cleanse, and she said, I can tell by looking at your intestines, they're spotted.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Spotted.
I wonder, once again, the only kind of detox that I know of are more liver
Yeah.
associated. I don't know about GI. Did you want to add?
Yes, from what I understand, certain cultures, Asian, Indian cultures, they understand that as the seasons change, like every 3-4 months, they cleanse themselves, their intestines. You could say liver detox. As the seasons change, we need to change our diet. And also I wanted to mention Phoenixville water is very polluted. Also Spring City, I understand on some people, depending on which water processor they use, they say this water may be cancerous. I live in the area in Westridge,
Right.
near O'Grady's restaurant, and last Thursday or Friday, brown crap was coming out of the sink. So we called up the owners, and they said, oh, we're just cleansing the fire hydrants. It had nothing to do with the fire hydrants.
You know what, you brought up a good point, and I do believe that this area, Schuylkill River, Pottstown, I do think it is kind of a hotbed for not great environmental. So that being said, you know, if you're gonna put money into something, I do like the reverse osmosis, the carbon filter. You know, you can put it right in your sink so that you don't have to have bottled water all the time. It's not that expensive, and I think it's worth the money to do so.
So I Googled on the internet, and,
Yeah.
and they mentioned there's horrible pollution in this area. Going into the Valley Forge water, they would not say specifically which industry was doing it. They said this area is very high in chromium water, but just Google Phoenixville water, and
I believe that.
Somebody was forced to put this on the internet, but yet they're not addressing which industries.
The other thing that I would say, if you're a homeowner, spend the money. It's not that expensive. I think it's like $100 a year. Have Saratoga Water Corp come out and test your water to just test what you're drinking. But the reverse osmosis systems, I don't really sell anything. We don't sell, I do sell the standard process, but we don't sell a lot of stuff. But if you have questions, when we're done with this, I'm gonna give everybody my email address. And if you have questions, you can just shoot me an email and I can share with you different things, and I hate to recommend certain companies or certain things, but reverse osmosis is really a good, we have one at our house that we put in, and I also get our water checked yearly, because we have a well.
Is
Yeah.
that the only kind of a water purifier that works? I mean, I have a Brita filter, that doesn't do anything.
No, that Brita filter's good,
It
yeah,
is?
yeah, it's good, I just like it though, because we have a whole house filter,
Okay.
that we use. But yeah, the Brita one's fine, it's carbon filter.
Oh, good,
Yeah,
okay.
did you have a question, I'm sorry?
Yes, I did. It wasn't really a question, it was a comment.
Yeah.
Even though I'm not pushing a product, please believe
Oh,
me.
no,
I'm
please,
not.
feel free.
However, when I first worked at Wegmans, I was very fortunate to meet one of the chemists from there. He said, drink the Wegmans distilled water. I thought that was nonsense. I have found out I do have a very good water tester at home, given me by him. Anyway, it has been I have found no impurities, maybe the highest I've ever found. Let me paraphrase.
And this is Wegmans?
It's two, yeah. it's
Distilled
Wegmans
water.
Distilled
Okay.
water. It is nothing in it. Even I'm told even the jugs that it comes in are purified.
Okay, good to know. You know, another thing too, and I'm not a big proponent of bottled water. I'm gonna tell you, they have to treat the inside of the bottles to keep them from like bacteria. Like they have to, and so I had 2 patients, and it's weird, and it was funny, it was both the same brand of water, and I wish I could remember whether it was, I wanna say it was Poland Springs, I don't know. Horrible hives. I mean, and we did the elimination diet, blah, 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 and it ended up being the bottled water. Isn't that crazy? So, what's that?
Doesn't all bottled water have little pieces of plastic in it?
Oh, I don't
Like
know.
tiny pieces of plastic?
I don't know.
Okay.
I don't know. But anyway, well, thank you for coming tonight. I've stayed right on time, and let me quick give everybody my email. It is MCC,
MC what?
M is in Mary, cat, KAM@comcast.net. And if you have any questions when you leave or you're reading through the packet and you're like, just shoot me a quick email and I can shoot you an email back. Okey doke. So have a good rest of your night, and thank you for coming.